Alright, today we have our 2005 Subaru Forester. It's got a 2.5, has a 2.5 a boxer engine with a single overhead cam. This car has made a high-pitched noise like a dog whistle for a long time. And trying to figure out what it was, never could figure out what it was. The car finally started making knocking noises, like I thought maybe there was a rod knocking. And so we brought it in to have a look at it. We took a pair of these automotive stethoscopes, and by touching the engine block, the valve covers, and here and there on the car, we were able to determine that the noise is coming from inside the timing cover, which I kind of suspected that. So our next step is to start up the car. We're going to let you listen to the sound that it was making, and then we'll go from there. It sounds like the rods are about to come out of it. If you get to one of these little guys here, it's a little stethoscope for automobiles. Put this little rod on there. You just want to touch the engine. There's no noise coming from the block. No noise coming from the lifters. Put it out on this side. Touch this on the engine block. You can hear what's going on inside the engine. Everything's nice and smooth. There's no noise in there. Touch it on the lifter covers. You can hear the lifters. There's no noise in there. You touch it on the timing belt cover. And there it is. Inside the timing belt cover. So what that tells me is the timing belt tensioner or an idler pulley or something inside of there is making all this noise. These cars are supposed to have the timing belts changed at 100,000 miles. When I bought this car, it had 103 on it. The guy told me it had been done already. But it didn't really look like anybody had worked on that part of it. The head gaskets were changed. I could see new head gaskets. I knew that was done. There was some other work done. You could see all that. So I was suspicious of this timing belt. And now that it's making this noise, it's parked. Because if the timing belt breaks on these little boxer engines, it bends the valves, you got a major engine repair. As it is, parts from an online retailer, got $170 for all the parts. Water pump included. You don't want to take this thing all apart and get down there to a water pump that's driven by the timing belt and not change the water pump. So we're going to change the timing belt, the idler pulleys, the tensioner, and the water pump. We're going to drain all the coolant out of the engine. That's over on this corner. I couldn't find a piece of 1/4-inch hose. So I robbed the return hose from the radiator to the reservoir here and stuck it on this nipple. We're gonna, if you want to look under here, Jenny, right up here on this corner of the radiator, there's a little valve, a petcock that you open up. It's plastic, so you want to be careful with it. We should be seeing water come out here real soon. Let me pull the cap off so it's not sucking on the cap. Okay, so in order to get down in here to this thing, we're going to remove a bunch of stuff and get it out of the way. We've got the water draining out of the radiator. We're going to take the radiator out. We're going to remove the battery. We're going to move this little reservoir, set it off to the side, And we got some belt covers here on top that we're going to remove and set off to the side out of the way. And when we get all that out of here and out of the way, we'll jump back in and look at what comes next. Are you getting this? You've got two mounts here, a bolt on each one, little rubbers that hold this in place. Your top radiator hose right down here on the side. You've got an electrical plug for the fans. You want to pop that loose. There's another one under here. I think that's all part of the harness that's hooked to the radiator. Now, these hoses are in clips hooked to the bottom of the fan, and a plug on the bottom of the fan. Looks like the fan is loose now. There's the fan. Those have been off before. Those are not factory clamps. So I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and pull the radiator. I want to have the room. Alright, if you want to point your camera down here in this hole, I'll show you. This is an automatic transmission in this car, so it's got a cooling coil inside the radiator for the automatic transmission. We got a clamp here. Got a clamp over here. That's going to disconnect our transmission. Here was the other plug on the bottom of the fans. It's got to come off. There's one over there. Both of those have to come off the fans. And then we've got a bottom radiator hose. We're going to pull those off and set the radiator out of the way. Wasn't that much. So it's pretty well drained out. Factory clamps. To mangle them to get them off there. Alright, radiator's all loose. And there it is. Plastic. Broke my wrench. Belt's off, so we're going to loosen up the tensioner. There's where the tensioner locks on the alternator belt, and here's the tensioner lock on the air conditioning belt. Okay, those are both loose. Alternator belt doesn't look too bad. Extension on that. Okay, and it looks like we're going to need to take this tensioner completely off now that we've got it loosened up, because it's hanging right down in front of the timing belt cover. Alright, we're going to stick these right back in here. We're now removing the bolts from this end of the timing belt cover. We're going to get our first look at this belt. And there we are. Yeah, baby. This one I did. You see all these little marks on there. See, this has worn here. This thing's shot. And in there, you look in there and you see all that sparkly stuff. You got your arm covering up the light going in there, Jenny. If you can see the sparkly, that's little pieces of metal. It's metal flake that are from the bearing in the tensioner. I also see we have a little problem here where something has come loose and pushed this cover out. Something's not right in here, and this is out rubbing on the harmonic balancer on the crankshaft, and it's been causing the tensioner pulley for the air conditioner to rub. This is probably what's been making that high-pitched squeal like a dog whistle when I romp on it. The people following me from behind have been saying, "Well, how come your car sounds like a dog whistle?" Now we're seeing where all that stuff's coming from. I never could figure it out. So we're gonna, whatever's sticking out there that's not supposed to be, we're gonna take care of that here. All right, we should have a bolt here. Yeah, we got a shoulder bolt, a regular bolt, another shoulder bolt. This is a 22 millimeter. On this crankshaft. All right, we got the harmonic balancer loose now, and there it is. And we've got our last bolt out of the timing belt cover, and there it comes off. And there I can see that the timing belt tensioner is falling off. It's loose here. It's cocked out. That's why there's this little black line, because that's in behind the pulley. The pulley's on there cockeyed, or should I say crooked. Okay, we're ready to take the belt off now. We found what was wrong, why the noise was coming where it was coming from. This bolt that holds the timing belt tensioner in had backed out. The timing belt tensioner was cocked sideways, so it wasn't running on the entire surface of the belt, and it was rubbing up against the back of this harmonic balancer, grinding metal off of here. So in a typical disassembly of this timing belt, you're going to take this bottom idler pulley off first, which I've already broke loose. You're going to pull this off, which will give you a little bit of slack in the belt. You're going to remove this idler pulley here, which also is already broken loose. And this is going to give you enough slack in the belt to go ahead and remove this tensioner with this bolt here. Now, once we've removed all that, what we can see up in here, if you can see that up in there where the bolt goes, you can see that it pulled the threads out of the engine block. And there are a few threads left at the bottom of the hole, but it's not going to be enough to hold this timing belt tensioner in position for a long period of time. So we have we're going to have to install a helicoil, and in order to do that, we drill this hole out, we tap it, and we screw one of these inserts in there so that our bolt will go back in and stay inside the helicoil. And it's a typical repair for stripped out bolt holes. Once you have the belt tensioner and idler pulleys off, it will just come off easy enough. This belt was not really bad. It was a new belt. They did change the timing belt, but they didn't install the tensioner pulley correctly, and that's why it came loose. So now we have another idler pulley here that we're going to have to take off. It's got too much play in it. We're going to replace this one, this one, and the tensioner, and we're going to replace this water pump as well. So in order to get to this hole and repair it, I'm going to have to remove the air conditioner coil here and the grill off the front of the car, so I can get a drill down in here to actually get to all that. All of these idler pulleys are 14 millimeter sockets. Okay, you can see this blue color on these pulleys. I've never seen them get this hot from a belt rolling over them. So this stuff all got really hot from all the extra friction from this tensioner coming loose. The water pump is like that too. It's scalded. And so now we need to remove this ring around the headlight so we can get down in here. These are just simple, the little pop-on things like they put everywhere on the car. But this, you see, just slips on there. You got the same thing over here, slips onto this little, or just little plastic clips that it slips onto, and then these little clips hold it on the top. Alright, the grill is held on. If you look in here, you see these little clips. It's just got two little ears that you're going to squeeze from the outside, like this, and it'll slide over it, like that. I have one right here. The bottom just sits down on the clips there, and then it snaps on here, 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 and here. The next step is to actually remove the air conditioner coil here, which is these bolts here and here. And It looks like we probably got maybe a couple coming up from the bottom, maybe not. That might just be it right there. So once that's loose, we can we'll have to discharge the system because it has solid lines going to it. It has a flex line here, but it has a solid line here. So we'll have to drain the system down and remove this so we can get in through here to get to our hole. Okay, we were able to fudge a little bit here. There are some clips on this rigid air conditioning line. They're little plastic clips. There's one right here, right behind this wire bundle. You see that there, this little plastic clip right there. Those pop into holes in the body. There's one here, one back here. By releasing both of those, there's enough movement in that solid line to raise this up out of the way to give us ample room to get a drill in here. And as you can see, here's all the shavings. I've already drilled this hole. Now this is a 10mm bolt with a 1.25 thread pitch. It calls for a 13/32 drill bit, which is what we have here. So we have our hole drilled out, and now we're ready to run a tap in there and tap it. And it will be tapped to the size of the outside diameter of the helicoils. All right, we have a 7mm wrench here that fits our tap. Here's our tap. And let's just you want to hold some inward pressure. Try to keep it straight. Once it's started straight, it will pull itself through the hole. Can you see it all right? All right, the screw part of this is going to lock onto that little piece of wire right there, like that. So we're going to lay it in here. Oh, this little tab goes down in the hole. I'm going to stick this up through it. And when it connects that wire, it's going to begin to screw in like that. And once we get it like this, we're going to get that started in the hole. And we're going to need another wrench to hold the outside of this. We're going to go in a little bit deeper with that. Side of the hole. It's flush with the surface of the hole. And we'll take and there you can see our bolt screws right into it like that, and that'll tighten down and torque up and hold it. Okay, we have the idlers and the belt and everything off and out of the way. We next need to remove the water pump. And in order to do that, we have two hoses. This little hose, which I've already moved the clamp. And we have this other hose on this side that has to come off. I already have the clamp off of it, because the gooseneck, which contains the thermostat, comes off with the water pump. We have 6 bolts, which are already broken loose. The 4 you can see here, 1, 2, 3. One up in here, 4. And then there's 2 that you can't see. One is up under here. That's 5. And over here on the same other side, in about the same position, is number 6. We've got all the 6 bolts out of the water pump now, both the hoses removed, and so we're going to give it a little tug, a little wiggle and a jiggle, and pull it out. And it looks pretty new inside, but the pulley has been blued from the heat of all this, and I think that the tensioner pulley rubbed on the front of here. So we're going to replace this. Our next step will be to transfer the the gooseneck and the thermostat to the new water pump. Put a little RTV on both sides of the gasket. We put it on one side of the gasket and stuck it onto the engine block. Now we're going to put a little bit on the water pump side. The gasket that came with this kit is a metallized gasket. So we're going to use a little RTV on it. All right, so we've got our new water pump slipped up into position. We've got to get our 6 bolts in the water pump, and these torque to 8.7 foot-pounds. We'll torque them to 9, and we'll get those in, and then we'll put the idler pulleys in, and then we'll put the belt on. Now that we have the water pump in there and torqued 8.7, 9 pounds, we're going to stick our 2 hoses back on the water pump here and down here on the bottom. This one on the bottom is a little bit tough. I'll have to get under here to get to it, but we're going to put those back on and then we'll continue. There's that one. We're going to put on our, this is an idler sprocket, goes right here, actually screws into the water pump housing. And then we have this idler pulley here, screws in on this side of the crankshaft, into the engine block. All of these idlers and the bolt that holds the timing belt tensioner in are all 30 foot-pounds. Okay. Here's your timing mark here, and the mark on the camshaft pulley there. And on this other side, there's the mark on the camshaft pulley, and the mark is right there at the seam of the head, and the timing mark on the crankshaft. There's a mark on this end, there's a line on the back, and then there's a mark right there in the engine block, a little tiny mark. All three of those have to be lined up, and then we will put this belt on. The timing belt has marks that coincide with the marks on the pulley, the marks on the crankshaft, and the mark on the other pulley. And you're going to start this on the left side and work it down and make sure it stays snug all the way around. So we're right on the mark here. We have slipped off the mark over here. Now this is the bolt that we had to helicoil, and we put lots of red Loctite in there. Make sure this thing stays and doesn't come loose again, because this is what caused our problem in the first place. Now we have our timing marks right on. Okay, should be able to let that go now. Here, here, and here. And we're going to torque all these 30 foot-pounds. Got this idler here, this idler here. We're going to do the, very carefully do this one. Okay, and then the last one that goes on is down here. Which I can't really see from up here. Can't really see it from down here. Okay, we used Loctite Red. That's the strongest. We put it on this bolt here, and we also used it on a tensioner bolt down here that felt like it was wanting to pull threads. So we have our marks here, here, and here lined up. All the pulleys are back in place. Water pump is on and in place. Everything is torqued. The only thing that remains to do here is to pull this pin, which you can get a close-up of this pin right here. This is the pin that releases the plunger in the timing belt tensioner. We're going to let all of this Loctite cure for 24 hours, which is what's recommended. And along about this time tomorrow, we'll pull this pin, rotate the crankshaft around a couple of times and make sure that everything's clear, that we're not having any interference with our valves, and we'll put the rest of this all back together. Well, now our bolts should be set up. The Loctite should be set up on these bolts. We've double checked all of our timing marks, the belt's in place, everything's ready. The next step is to pull the pin, which we just did right here. There's the pin. And that releases the hydraulic cylinder on the timing belt tensioner, and should keep everything good and tight now. So a good thing to do, just to make sure, is to go ahead and rotate the engine around with a ratchet And you're just going to have to bounce it when it comes up on compression so that it goes over the compression stroke. And we do this to make sure that there's no interference with the valve train. And we're going to rotate it back around until our marks get back up top dead center on the timing belt. And here that comes. Actually, I guess shaft around a few times here till the belt is all the way back, till the marks are lined up. And now we're going to start putting things back together. We're going to go ahead and bolt the timing belt cover in place. We'll put on the tensioners for the air conditioning and install the belts, and we'll get it ready to set the radiator back in, and we'll pick up after that. Get the keyway to this crankshaft pulley harmonic balancer and get your bolts started in there. We'll get them all back on. Probably would have been easier without this hose on it, but not bad. Okay. It goes like that. Alright then, we've got everything back together. We've got our radiator in place. All of our fan belt shrouds are in place. We got the fan back in. Everything's plugged in, filled up, battery in. We're ready to start it up. Make sure our water pump's not leaking. Alright then, there it is, running, all done, just like new, only better, and that's the story with that.
And as always, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button so that we know that you like these type of videos and we'll continue to make more.